it can be a very slow fade going from who you were to where you're at now when you're in neurodiverse relationships. From date nights that you had high expectations and end up going downhill. From realizing you don't even know how you feel about almost anything because you're so focused on everyone else. We're going to talk about these things today and how it can lead you towards growth in your life. Hey friend, do you feel frustrated or alone in your relationship? Or feel hopeless of life ever changing in your family? Would you love to become unstuck, learn to heal, and connect with what your heart enjoys? Well, I am so glad you're here. I'm Christina, married 16 years to a neurodiverse man, mom of 3, and many more roles. Welcome to the Women in Neurodiverse Relationships podcast. Grab your Sanity Latte, listen in as we take another small step on the journey of intentional living. Ever have the feeling that there is a camera in your home or listening to your conversations, either with your spouse or with your kids or both, and you are looking around saying, there has to be, right? There's a camera in here. This is just so crazy. There must be. I've had so many experiences of this. One of them was my middle child wanted to encourage me. And so he grabbed a Sharpie and he wrote encouraging words to mom on the floor and also on the wall, thinking it would brighten my day. And I saw it and said, and the split second thinking is, one track is thinking, Christina, you should tell him great job because he's thinking of you, and which is not always the case for kids who are neurodiverse. He was wanting to be encouraging you. The other half of me is thinking, are you kidding me? What makes you think using a Sharpie marker on our home is a great idea? And thinking, those are the moments where I think there must be a camera in here because this is just so this is so off the wall. And sometimes, and unfortunately this happened more than once, but sometimes I handle it very well. And I was able to praise the thoughtful idea, but also redirect and say the method was not correct. And I feel like that's a lot of what we do with our loved ones who are neurodiverse. It's the idea that's there is great, but the method and delivery needs work on. And when this is going on, an ongoing trend of where our needs are not being met and we are tired and there's this drought that's happening, an ongoing drought of emotional needs, of possibly in your situation, maybe you're not getting hugs, intimacy challenges. It could be the encouraging words that you really crave. Maybe it's having discussions that don't involve arguments. Whatever those needs are, likely you've been experiencing a drought or you are in a drought right now. And that can lead to long-term issues when we are continually experiencing this lack of meeting our needs. Many years ago, I came to the realization that this is an ongoing challenge that my family is in, and that expecting my needs would be noticed, expecting my needs would be met, waiting for life to get more calm and more peaceful so that my needs could be addressed, or even that I could feel like worthy enough to bring up the fact that I had this need. Because when there are so many challenges going on in your family, oftentimes you feel like, well, my needs really aren't that big compared to the challenges that are going on for my kids or my spouse. And I remember thinking, Christina, there is so much of everything and so little of you left. And wanting to be this great wife and wanting to be able to persevere, and then just seeing like, this is not not happening. And I've mentioned this in some of the previous episodes, the realizations I was receiving and understanding. But again, we kind of get this moment of like, oh, today's a better day and maybe we're on the right track. And you're thinking that the trend is changing and realizing that was a moment and not a trend. And those needs are still there. And I had some pivotal moments when I looked inwardly and also I listened to those around me and seeing the lack of really awareness of my own needs and also the lack of meeting my own needs. In fact, one of the things that I would joke with my friends and they were shocked by and they would laugh at is I would say, I actually don't know what I feel right now. I have to Google my feelings, which sounds really silly. But if you're in these situations, we can, for so long, deny focusing on what we need. And our radar is focused on what are everyone else's potential needs, challenges, what's going to blow up, that we cease to have our internal radar turn on. And when that happens, knowing our preferences, knowing it's simple as like with food, where you want to go out to eat, what to do for activities, what do you want to watch for a movie, that can begin to decline to almost be non-existent, especially when you think about for activities that could be controversial. For example, going out to eat. For a date night, maybe getting out on a date night could be a challenge for you and your spouse or loved one. Picking a place to go out to eat is tricky because of sensory challenges. It could be food, maybe only certain types of food that he is willing to eat. It could be sensory, as in the loudness of the environment, how bright or how dark the restaurant is. Lots of different factors. It could be how many people are in the restaurant. Maybe they only like to go out to eat if there's lots of people there, so that background noise dulls everything out. Or for others, which is maybe more common, they can't go out to eat if there is a lot of noise going on in the background, a really loud kind of bar scene you think of, loud restaurants, very boisterous. And you've tried to go to those restaurants. The experience has been sometimes disheartening. Other times it's been heartbreaking because you're looking forward to this emotional connecting moment where you're going out to eat and be able to talk, and hopefully like you are able to share your heart and your emotions, and your spouse is able not be distracted. There's nothing at home. There's nothing to fix. There's nothing to kids to grab their attention, to make noise. Everything is now just you and him. And you're thinking, okay, great. I can able to talk about these thoughts I have, or maybe there's this dream you've been thinking about. And then you try to share it and it gets shut down or ignored or pushed away because he possibly is in sensory overwhelmed, or maybe he's not picking up the cues that you are wanting to talk about something that is important and special to you. In the middle of the conversation, he changes the topic. Not intentionally, right? In his mind, he's thinking, okay, we will go out to eat. We are on a date. It is just the two of us. I am doing a conversation with her, and he can have the impression I am checking all the boxes and I'm doing great, not realizing there's boxes that are not being addressed that are really important. And then that loneliness can set in even deeper, especially when you turn over to your left, your right, and you see this couple, maybe it's an older couple that have been married for probably maybe 30, 40 years, and you see the emotional connection that's there. They're not looking at their phones. They're communicating in small different ways. Or maybe it's a younger couple that you see and they're in the first year of love stage, and seeing that sears your heart because you're wanting that emotional connection, knowing that you're sharing these words and they are being heard and received and acknowledged by this person that you love. And when that doesn't happen, and especially on an ongoing basis, inside of you, something is dying. For me, that's been the way that something has died during those moments. Again, his intention was not, he grabbed the Sharpie and he's thinking he's doing the right thing, but not realizing the delivery of it. Like, yes, we're on a date. Yes, we're out. But if your spouse is upset and angry during the date, that doesn't count. That doesn't check the box, right? It's like, yes, you're out. We're eating food alone, but you're your emotions at the moment are not lending towards an emotional connectivity between the two of you. And that's where things can be missed, where your needs and how your spouse is trying to meet them can be a mismatch. For yourself and for myself, having these moments, whatever they might be, of where we have needs and they are being either mismatched met, or maybe they're not being seen, sometimes intentionally and sometimes unintentionally, right? I don't know your situation. That continuing on leaves this heartache and this unsure of, is this valid what I need? Is this normal what I need? It seems to be normal, but maybe it's normal for them, but maybe for me, it's really not relevant. And we begin questioning, and more inside of ourselves, we have this decreasing of our heart and of our opinions and of our will. When I was able to see that in myself and reflect and remember who I was early in our marriage, who I was before our marriage, remembering my own passions and dreams, it caused something in me to just break and cry and say, there must be an answer. There has to be something. How do I live in this moment, this ongoing moment, this ultra marathon of life with a neurodiverse spouse and with kids? It was at this critical moment that I had this epiphany, and it happened in small little sections of time when I would break away. One of the routines I had was early in the morning, and this was probably what really helped me stay sane. If you listen to my previous episode, I talk about just gave you an example of a day in the life for me, and keeping my sanity was a very important thing. And as a person of faith, my morning routine, I would get up early in the morning before anyone else, and I had a special spot for my devotion time. And I will acknowledge that my spouse, he made connections, and he said, I realize you're not happy and joyful as you used to be, Christina. Like he saw that, and he coined the term rejoicing room. He's like, I want you to be in a place, like he didn't understand necessarily like how the family environment and challenges was adding to my lack of rejoicing, but he realized like that wasn't happening and that I needed it, that I wasn't painting, I wasn't drawing, I wasn't doing my art, I wasn't doing crafts, like all these things went to the wayside. And so one of the key things, which I really appreciate, because if we don't acknowledge the things that our spouses do well, and if we only see what they're missing, we are doing a disservice. And also, we're not replicating well for our kids, right? Like, we're not showing them this is what is being done well. So one of the things that he highlighted was having a rejoicing room. And at first, it was just a small little area. And then it became an actual room. And now I have like my own rejoicing room that has my crafts and supplies. And realizing when I was in there, and I would have my devotion times in the morning, the devotional time was so pivotal for me because I was able to read God's word. I was able to have my soul ministered to, my spirit, just reading through Psalms and crying and reading through the New Testament and seeing Jesus' love for me, recharging and refilling and journaling, writing out the pain and the question and the angst, all of it. That morning routine was so vital for me just to continue on. And I realized being in my rejoicing room, I would look and see, like, I have these arts and these crafts. Why can't I use it? Like, he gave me this space now. And I say gave, I mean, like, he actually set up using an Alpha system, ELFA, Alpha system from the Container Store. He set up an area and he gave of his time and of our resources to create this space for me to do these crafts. And yet I had such resistance. I mean, I literally felt this wall of not being able to do it. And I would question, like, why do I feel this way? Like, why is this so hard for me? Why can't I break away? Or there's a moment of quiet time. Why can't I do painting or drawing or creating cards, whatever, that current phase I was in for doing crafts. And for you, maybe it's something different. Maybe it's gardening, maybe it's hiking, it could be writing. But that wall was there. And there was this mindset that I have. And honestly, I still need to work through sometimes. I still reach this where I did not see the importance or the value, like what good is it going to do? When I began my journaling, which evolved into planning, using a planner to plan my time, and then I created my own planner, and I had so many different items I would record and write down, and I began seeing the trends in my life. That was a pivotal moment for me that happened over many years, though, of making these realizations of my own trends in my life that I was having in response to the trends in my family members' life. One of the realizations that I took away is that I need to find a way to take care of myself. It was a realization, again, this happened over many months to a few years of just realizing to the degree that life is not going to improve all of a sudden in a few months, in a year. This is not, we're dealing with a cancer and then there's hopes, like, yes, we're able to treat it and we're going to go into remission. This is not, we're going on this very long journey and then we're going to reach the end of the journey and we're going to be done. It's complete. This is an ongoing lifestyle that we were all in. And for me to live in this and continue in it, I need to acknowledge that I need to take care of myself and whatever that means for me if I am going to be able to survive. But let's be honest, I don't want to only survive. That was never a goal I had when I was 19 years old. It's like, I just want to survive life. That's my goal. I mean, we don't, right? But I actually want to grow and thrive. And asking questions of people of how is this possible when you have all these challenges? I was not happy with many of the answers that I got. All of it revolved around, well, it will get better. But what if you're in a situation that doesn't get better? This is where we can take a page from reading the Bible and Jesus' life, because he knew the trajectory of his future, when his last day would be on earth. He knew all of that. And in the midst of living his life, of doing his ministry, he continued to take moments to take care of himself, to pray, to rest, to be fed, to be with loved ones, to be with family. And he went back and did this very vital role that only he could do. So the takeaway I had was, I need to take care of myself. If the Savior of the world decides it's important to do that, how could I be so prideful and say, no, I got it. I don't need it. And in many ways, that is what I was doing. It was that, I got this, Jesus. I can handle it. I got muscles. I got shoulders. I can keep pushing on. I can push this boulder up this mountain. And I'm sure he's looking down from heaven saying, sweetie, you haven't really moved it very much. But when I began doing was countercultural, instead of trying to focus on the problems and trying to solve it, but when I began realizing I need to take care of myself, not in a selfish way, not in a prima donna, everyone needs to serve me, but truly in a looking at life from a daily and week perspective. What are the things that I need to do to take care of myself? Because right now others are not able to, Or maybe in your situation, they're not willing to help do that cooperative meeting each other's needs in a family dynamic where when one is sick or hurting, we care for them, and vice versa. The one another's that the Bible talks about, if that is not happening for you, you need to be looking at how can you, in a godly manner, meet those needs. And that was a realization that I came to. Brought me back to finding myself in small little bits. Is that, Christina, if you wait for everything else to settle down, if you wait for someone to say, you know what, you deserve to be taken care of, and we're going to make this work, it's not going to happen. Not from people not caring, but the life moments happening in the family, that wasn't possible. There wasn't the understanding at that time that mom has limitations, that as a wife and as a mom and even all the other roles that I carry, those limits are God-given, because that points, the end of ourselves points to the need of Him meeting our needs. But we shouldn't get that low. We shouldn't let our fuel get that low. Yet we do, and I have done it. And you know what? I will stumble upon this still, when I will realize I am pushing myself beyond my God-given limits. So I'd like you to take some time today to reflect. What is something that you could do to take care of your need for yourself? And we're going to really unpack this in the upcoming weeks. What does it mean to take care of yourself? What does it mean to fill your own needs so that you can care for others? Now, someone say this is a selfish thing, but if Jesus did not take that time, if He decided He needed to take time and moments away to pray, to reflect, to rest, to eat, to be with family, it doesn't work out. You can't say it's selfish for you, but it's not. I mean, He's the Savior of the world. He didn't sin. So therefore, taking time for ourselves, there is a digging in of why am I not doing this? And your answer may be very different from the reasons I've shared and will share. But what is it that you can do for yourself today? A small little routine that maybe you can begin meeting your needs. I shared for myself, one of the very vital routines I had was my morning, we call it morning Jesus time, morning devotional time. It was reading the Bible, it was journaling, it was prayer time. It was multiple different things that really recharged me and helped me be able to walk ahead in my purpose. And the days I didn't do it, it was very clear. There was cranky mom and not happy wife. So I hope this gives you some great thoughts to think about, gives you some ideas to consider about your own needs. If you have resistance, and maybe for you, you've made progress, but there's this one area, it could be exercising, it could be making appointments to take care of your medical needs, whatever that might be. Like, what is that need that you have? And why is there that resistance? Because that is the beginning of leaving what was and going towards a new path, a new journey of saying, you know what? I need to go what is uncomfortable, and I need to go into this place of taking care of myself so I can do my vital roles that only you can do. Hey, thank you for joining me today. I pray this episode gave you encouragement to take one small step. Would you be willing to help other women like you find this show? If so, leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts. If you'd like more information on living in a neurodiverse relationship, check the show notes on how we can connect.